Now that you've received your new Genie AWP Super Series, let's take the time to inspect the machine and note any freight damage on your bill of lading. Let's go ahead and unpack the machine. We'll start in the back and we'll cut the shrink wrap. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut the bands. Once I've taken the shrink wrap off and I've cut the bands, I'll remove the battery from the platform. Okay, now that we've unpackaged the unit, we need to remove the pallet from underneath it. If you have a forklift available, use a forklift to lift the machine up to slide the pallet out. If you don't have access to a forklift, we're going to use the aid of a truck to load the machine into it to slide the pallet out. Let's go ahead and start at the back of the machine. Make sure you back the truck up to where it's right up even with your loading pivot, this bar right here. You'll set this loading pivot with the stop bracket about 6 inches above the tailgate of the truck. On the other side here, I have a hook that locks the loading pivot to the stop bracket. Once this is in place, again, 6 inches up from the tailgate, about 6 inches out from the back of the machine, I'll walk around to the front of the machine and pull out our T-bar handle. Now, before you lift this machine, make sure you always use proper lifting technique. And if you need help, get it. We'll return our T-handle and we're ready to go. Now that we've unpacked the machine, let's go ahead and move it away from the truck. The first thing you want to check is your breather cap. Let's make sure it's in place. Next, let's look at the operator's manual. They're stored in the operator's manual container up at the basket here. Included with these, or first off, is your key. I'll go ahead and put that on the machine. The operator's manuals must be read before you operate the machine. Also, we have our ANSI standard. The ANSI standard specifies the responsibilities of dealers, owners, users, and operators. It is your responsibilities to know and understand your responsibilities and act accordingly. Next, we have our product warranty. Our product warranty registration, make sure you fill this out and send it back to Genie. And lastly, we have our battery filling instructions. Let's go ahead and fill the battery. Many of you receive DC machines. Let's go ahead and show you how to charge your battery. First, make sure you take the time to read your dry battery filling instructions. They're very important. The battery box comes in 2 compartments. The lower compartment stores your battery. The upper compartment is where your charger is stored. Let's go ahead and put some electrolyte in. The battery comes from the factory dry. Also, each vent cap underneath has a protective plastic seal to seal the battery. You'll want to remove each one of the vent caps and also remove this plastic seal before filling the battery. When you fill the battery, you want to bring the electrolyte just up over the top of the plates. Once it's been filled, you replace the vent cap back into the hole. Now to charge the battery, we have an automatic charger. I'll want to plug this into an AC grounded circuit. Once it's plugged in, again, it's automatic. I hit the auto button. The charger will sense the amount of charge in the battery and bring it up to full charge, then turn off. You go ahead and store your cord back in its storage compartment, and we'll put it on the machine. Now the battery mounts on the back of the machine. I've moved my stop bracket and my loading pivot all the way down to the bottom, and I will hook the battery box on the steer handles. Now once that's hooked in place, I will go ahead and connect my quick connect. And you're ready to go. Before I get started, I need to mention that this video does not take the place of the Genie AWP Operator's Manual. The Operator's Manual contains the instructions and safety rules for proper operation of the Genie AWP. Read this manual before you get started. Keep it handy in the storage container for further reference. And if you ever have any questions concerning proper operation, please contact your Genie dealer or Genie Industries. There are 5 principles of safe operation listed in the Operator's Manual that you need to know. First, you must avoid hazardous situations. Second, always perform a pre-operation inspection. Number 3, always perform a function test prior to use. Number 4, inspect the workplace. And number 5, only use the machine as a personnel lift. The safety rules section in the Operator's Manual will help you with the first principle of safe machine operation. Avoid hazardous situations by following all the safety rules listed in the Operator's Manual. The second principle of safe machine operation is always perform a pre-operation inspection. The pre-operation inspection is a visual inspection performed by the operator prior to each work shift. The inspection is designed to discover if anything is apparently wrong with the machine before the operator does the function test. Inspect the machine for modified, damaged, loose or missing parts. A damaged or modified machine must never be used. We've already done the pre-operation inspection on this machine, but we're going to give you an overview for illustrative purposes. Let's go ahead and do our pre-operation inspection. First off, be sure that the Operator's Manual is complete, legible, and in the storage container located in the platform. Now on this machine we've already taken the Operator Manuals out to do the pre-operation inspection, but it stores right here. Be sure all decals are legible and in place. There is a section in the Operator's Manual that lists all the decals that belong on this machine. You want to again go around the machine and look at each decal. Be sure to check the hydraulic oil level and check for leaks. Beneath the cowling there's a sight gauge. You can check your oil level. Check the following components or areas for damage or improperly installed, loose or missing parts. Electrical components, wiring, electrical cables. Hydraulic power unit, hoses, fittings, and cylinders. Here's your power unit. You want to make sure there aren't any leaks. Platform entry mid-rail or gate. Confirm that it's not taped up. Lift chains and idler wheels. Sequencing cables and pulleys. You want to check all 4 of your outriggers. Make sure they're in place. Make sure you have your screw jack pads. Check entire machine for dents or damage, corrosion or oxidation, cracks and welds or structural components. Inspect and clean battery terminals and all battery cable connections. Be sure that all structural and other critical components are present and all associated fasteners and pins are in place and properly tightened. Let's go on and do the function test. The third principle of safe machine operation is the function test. The function tests are designed to discover any malfunctions before the machine is put into service. A malfunctioning machine must never be used. Let's go ahead and do the function test. First, make sure you get an area that's clear, firm, and level. We'll connect our power source. We're showing you a DC machine, your quick connect. Next, we'll turn the key switch to the on position. Our power light comes on. At this point, let's plug in all 4 outriggers to make sure they're operating properly. Each outrigger has an interlock switch that corresponds with its socket. As I plug the outrigger in, I have an interlock display light that will tell me that yes, I have proper confirmation of setup. Plug the outrigger in, my corresponding light comes on. Let's do it for the rest of them. Confirmation. Confirmation. And confirmation. Now that I have all 4 outriggers plugged in, I want to level the machine out. With the use of the screw jack rods and my bubble level, which is mounted right here on the base, I'll level the machine out. I'll draw the bubble just inside the circle on the bubble level. Once I've leveled the machine, we'll go ahead and go to the next step, which is testing our emergency stop buttons. Let's start with the one on the ground. Turn the emergency stop button off by pushing it in. I'll go over to the basket and I'll release the emergency stop button in the basket by twisting it. Then I'll operate my control activate button. It's a power and a directional. It's not operating, the machine is working properly. Now let's release the emergency stop button at the base. Go ahead and push the emergency stop button in the basket. And again use my control activate button. And it's not operating. The machine is operating properly. I'll go ahead and release that. My next step is I'm going to test each one of the interlocks to make sure they're working properly. I'll back off on each one and then work my control activate button, which shouldn't operate without the outrigger being set properly. Released my outrigger, the screw jack, my light has gone off, the machine so far is operating properly. Work my control activate button, nothing happens, the machine is operating properly. Work my control activate button, and the light is off, the machine is operating properly. Corresponding light is off. The control activate button isn't operating. The machine is operating properly. Corresponding light is turned off. Work my control activate button. Machine is operating properly. Now that I've confirmed that all 4 outriggers are plugged in and they're set properly, the machine has been leveled, I'll go ahead and test my auxiliary platform lowering valves. First off, I'll run the platform up a couple of feet. disconnect my power, and I'll test the one right here at the control station. She's working fine. Reconnect my power. Run it back up. Again, disconnect. And we'll test the downs, auxiliary down in the basket. Power, auxiliary, and it comes down fine. Lastly, let's check the valve at the base of the machine. Now I have a manual lowering valve right at the base of the machine that's operating properly. That's the function test. Let's go on and do the workplace inspection. The fourth principle of safe machine operation is the workplace inspection. The workplace inspection helps the operator determine if the workplace is suitable for safe machine operation. Be aware of and avoid the following hazardous situations: drop-offs or holes, bumps, floor obstructions or debris, overhead obstructions in high voltage conductors, hazardous locations, inadequate surface support to withstand all load forces imposed by the machine, wind and weather conditions, the presence of unauthorized personnel, and other possible unsafe conditions. The fifth principle of safe machine operation is only use the machine as a personnel lift. Using the machine for anything other than lifting personnel and tools to an aerial work site is unsafe. Let's take a moment and go back through the setup of the machine. Position machine on firm level surface directly below desired work area. Connect the appropriate power source. On this machine, it'll be a DC quick connect with our battery box. If this were an AC machine, you'd use this pigtail right here in a grounded AC circuit. Insert key and turn to the on position. Pull out red emergency stop button and be sure the power light is on. Install outriggers and adjust to level the machine and raise base casters slightly off the ground. Check the interlock display. Be sure that all 4 interlock display lights are on. Now after each use, select a safe storage location, firm level surface, weather protected, clear of obstructions and traffic. Chalk wheels to prevent machine from rolling. Remove key to secure from unauthorized use. On a DC model, make sure you recharge the battery. Now I'd like to show you how to load this machine into a pickup truck. First of all, make sure you turn the key off and remove it. Your emergency stop is off. All 4 outriggers are in their storage location. And you've checked the complete machine for any unsecured items. Next, we'll take the battery off the back of the machine. Make sure you use proper lifting technique when lifting the battery, or get help if you need it. Okay, now that I've removed the battery and everything's secure, I'll go ahead and adjust our loading pivot and our stop bracket for loading into the back of the truck. Our stop bracket moves up by pulling out this pin. The loading pivot is attached with the use of this hook. I'll slide it up and lock it into place. Initially, I'll want to slide this assembly all the way up to the top hole. Now this is the type of loading pivot that you'll find on a 15, 20, 25, or 30-foot machine. Now on a 36 and 40-foot AWP, you'll have a little different assembly. Let me show you the differences. This is a 36-foot Genie. Here's my stop bracket and my loading pivot. Note the big difference is I have 2 pins instead of 1 to adjust this loading pivot up and down. I have 1 hook and it's attached right here. Okay, let's go ahead and load the 25 into the truck. Now my first step is I want to position the unit right up against the tailgate of the pickup. I'll step around the back and I'll adjust my loading pivot point down just to the top of the tailgate. And I'll do that by pulling the pin on the stop bracket. Once it's adjusted, I'll walk around to the front of the machine. At this point, I pull out my T-bar handle and lock it into place. Now again, as you load this machine into the back of the pickup truck, make sure you use proper lifting technique. And if you need help, make sure you get it. Now to load it, I'll lift with the T-handle and tip the unit back and load it right on up into the truck. At this point, I'll push it on into the bed. I've stored my T-handle for transport, and also make sure you tie this machine down in the back of the truck with straps. It's very important. Now to unload the machine out of the back of the truck, I'll pull the machine out to the edge of the tailgate. I'll deploy my T-handle and I'll pull it towards me. Now again, the machine is balanced, and as you can see, the machine has set down onto the loading pivot. As I pull back, being balanced, it's not going to come after you. It'll stop at the stop bracket. I use my T-handle to set it down onto the ground. And you're all set. The Genie AWP is designed to roll through a standard 3-foot by 6-foot 8-inch door. On our 15-foot, 20-foot, 25-foot, and 30-foot model, the unit can roll through a standard door in its storage position. Now on our 36 and 40-foot model, as you can see here, in the storage position it has a much taller retracted height. Therefore, on the 36 and 40, we need to tip the unit back onto a tilt-back assembly to roll on through a door. Let me show you how that works. On the back of the machine, we have a tilt-back assembly. The tilt-back assembly is held in place with a retaining pin. Now, as I remove this retaining pin, this tilt-back assembly is spring-loaded. It'll come towards you, so hang on to it. So as I unpin it, I pull the tilt-back back, and I line the strut up in its strut socket. Okay, once it's in place, I lock it into position again with my retaining pin. Now I'm ready to tip the machine back. But first, make sure this area is clear of personnel and all other obstructions. Now to tip the machine back, I need to use my T-bar handle. I'll slide it out. And again, at this point, make sure you use proper lifting technique or get some help if you need it. Now as I lift, I'll set gently the wheels down on the ground and I'll push on my T-handle. The strut assembly is a spring gas strut that'll compress as I push on the T-handle. Very important you take your time. Now at this position, I can roll this machine on through my 3-foot by 6-foot 8-inch door. Now to bring it back up to the storage position, I'll do the same operation in reverse. Again, take your time. And again, you're going to want to store the tilt-back assembly against the back of the machine. So I remove my retaining pin. I pull up on my strut and store it with the retaining pin again up flush against the back of the machine. You're ready to go. I need to point out that this video is intended to familiarize you with the principles of safe machine operation. There is information in your operator's manual that isn't on this video. You need to read your operator's manual to understand fully the aspects of safe machine operation. And again, if you have any questions concerning the operation of a Genie AWP, contact your Genie dealer or Genie Industries. Let's take a moment to talk about some of the features on your new Genie AWP. Let's start with the base. First off, you have non-marking wheels and casters all the way around on the base. Secondly, the base is set up in what we call a rocker type system. The rocker system allows you to first off pop the front caster up off the ground so as you can get over the door jamb or debris. Secondly, I can pivot it on its own axis. Also on our base, we have tie down points on both sides. I have a tie down point in the back and also forklift sockets. In the basket, I have a lanyard attachment point. I have power to the basket. On the top of the mast, we have individual mast cover plates. And on the back, I have a lifting eye. Now, the best feature on the new Genie AWP is the fact that it gets the job done for you. Thank you.